royal biography continuing to make headlines. Tom Bower's bombshell book, Revenge, Meghan, Harry and the War Between the Windsors, documents Meghan Markle's life from her early years through to her rift. People from contacting you, do you believe that happened?
Oh, I know it happened. I mean, this is my 26th book. I know when people are cutting me out, and it was just ridiculous how difficult it was to get to people who I genuinely wanted to hear.
Well, my feeling is that they don't want to come back in. They want all the perks, the titles and the baubles and the power, but don't want to actually come back to Britain and rule the world.
Let's spill the tea, because the Meghan and Harry story everyone thinks they know? Forget it. The romance, the glamour, the perfect royal couple.
What camp were you in? Did you love the royal family? Did you respect Harry and Meghan? Or were you just fairly neutral? How did you approach
Well, I'm
the
a
early
monarchist.
stage?
I believe that the monarchy, obviously, the Queen.
Vibes. They're all gone. What you're actually witnessing is chaos wrapped in designer labels. A brand that's overflowing with contradictions, scandal, and drama so explosive it makes Hollywood look like a retirement home. And guess who's finally saying it out loud? Tom Bower. He's systematically dismantling the entire narrative, piece by piece, exposing what Meghan has been desperately trying to conceal all along. Let's talk about the ultimate performance. Meghan didn't admire Diana, she studied her like a script. Bower reveals it all. Every
session that Meghan looked pretty much like an intruder. And as an intruder, she's looking for more grist to give to the cut. She's sided with the American media against Britain. The Anglophobes like the New York Times.
Calculated tilt of the head, every carefully practiced glance, every tearful, "Oh, poor me," moment was memorized like lines for a one-woman Broadway show. Meghan believed that if she could replicate Diana flawlessly, she could capture the world's affection. She went as far as mimicking wardrobe choices and recreating camera poses down to the last detail. But here's the problem: authenticity cannot be rehearsed. Diana's magic was effortless and genuine. She could walk into any room and make people feel
Critical book of Prince Charles 4 years ago, which he hated, but it was very true and was a pretty good sale. But I didn't really begin thinking about Meghan other than interest until the
truly seen. Meghan, not so much. The forced smiles, the staged vulnerability, and the theatrical sighs made the public roll their eyes in disbelief. She wasn't channeling Diana. She was performing a transparent imitation that everyone could spot from miles away. The very legacy Harry cherished and desperately tried to protect became nothing more than a prop in Meghan's image game. And yes, Harry played right along. Instead of being the protective shield for his mother's memory, he became an enabler, allowing Meghan to treat it like a
charge against the royal family and make it even worse. So I think she's pretty unhappy in Britain. She doesn't like it that Kate probably looks infinitely better than she does.
Halloween costume. The result? Meghan looked like a bargain bin Diana, and Harry became a pawn in a meticulously executed performance. The audience noticed immediately. They always notice when genuine emotion is replaced with rehearsed lines. The stage was set, the cameras were rolling, and the world saw straight through the act. The fairy tale left a bitter aftertaste, and this blueprint clearly wasn't working. Before the royal romance, Meghan wasn't exactly A-list. She was grinding, networking relentlessly.
And she behaved so badly, and Harry too, that I wanted to know what happened before. What was her life about that would lead her into that interview where she said so many things which were just untrue.
And learning how the influential move in Hollywood. Bower reveals it wasn't about acting talent. It was about strategically positioning herself with the right people. Parties, luxury events, exclusive gatherings. She was building a powerful network, not a resume. Every handshake, every smile, every camera-ready photo was a calculated strategic move. Bower confirms Meghan had a master plan. She wasn't stumbling into fame. She was pursuing it with military precision.
Probably snubs her because she's been so rude and cruel and inaccurate. And it's a tough time for them, and not least because Meghan, I thought ridiculous.
She eyed England from afar, seeking connections that could catapult her from supporting roles to international recognition. And Harry, jackpot, the ultimate prize, wealth, fame, status, and a royal title, all wrapped up in one relationship. It was a dream come true for anyone ambitious enough, and Meghan had done her homework thoroughly. This is the part people consistently miss. Hollywood connections only take you so far. Talent matters.
Well, damaging certainly. And you did interview around sort of 80 sources,
Yeah.
I think it was, for this book. Now, I mean, the majority of those people were willing to...
Yes, but so does opportunity. Meghan understood that fundamental truth and pursued it relentlessly, charm by charm, appearance by appearance, until she secured the golden ticket. The calculated nature of it all, ruthless, genius, perhaps, but also exactly why the world now doubts her innocent girl meets prince narrative. Strategy, ambition, and networking. Never love at first sight. Let's talk about the contradiction game.
They just are an odd couple by now. Always angry, never content, always complaining. You know, the sooner they go, the better, I think, for Britain.
Because Bauer makes it crystal clear, Meghan and Harry aren't just inconsistent. They're playing a high-stakes PR chess match, and the public is catching on fast. One day, Meghan tells everyone she barely knew Harry before they met. A naive girl stumbling into a royal romance. The next, she's acting like she followed his every move, memorized his life story, and knew exactly who he was before that fateful first encounter. You can't have it both ways. The audience notices, and they're not impressed. They're exhausted. Bauer exposes how every interview, every staged reveal, and every...
would then suggest that the book is biased.
Well, it's not biased in the sense that I do my very best to balance it, and there's a lot of good things about Meghan there. She's ambitious, she's good-looking, she is...
Every Netflix documentary is carefully orchestrated to serve her narrative. Raw, authentic emotion? Forget it. What we get are calculated facial expressions, precise pauses, and the kind of tearful moments that scream rehearsed. Even moments that should be sweet, like family photos or public appearances, are manipulated to keep attention squarely on Meghan. The baby becomes a prop, the holidays become a backdrop. The public eye isn't fooled. Harry, meanwhile, has become the perfect supporting actor. Nodding along, repeating lines.
With suits and everything, and in the end she succeeded in getting a man who built her up, who she was looking for all along. But on the other hand, on the way, there were many victims.
And echoing whatever Meghan feeds him. He's been reduced to a walking teleprompter. Friends and insiders notice the dramatic transformation. Those who knew him before see a man who used to be direct, charismatic, and genuinely funny, now subdued, cautious, and almost robotic. And let's not ignore the timing of announcements, social media posts, and carefully crafted photo ops.
Very best to prevent her friends and the people she'd worked with in Hollywood, on Suits and other places, to talk to me. So obviously I had to work hard to get the balance, but
Every move seems designed to distract, dominate the headlines, and steer the narrative. It's exhausting to watch and frankly exhausting to believe. What was sold as transparency and honesty is actually just a relentless spin cycle. Bauer calls it the contradiction game, and it's been ongoing for years. The audience isn't applauding, it's rolling its eyes. Eventually, even the most loyal fans realize that the story being told is less about truth and more about absolute control. Once upon a time, Harry was a prince people genuinely liked. Funny, relatable, and surprisingly down-to-earth for royalty.
Do you believe that happened?
Oh, I know it happened. I mean, this is my 26th book. I know when people are cutting me out, and it was just ridiculous how difficult it was to get to people who I genuinely wanted to hear the good side of her from. But obviously, she is a person who controls the...
He had natural charisma, charm, and a voice that felt authentic. Bauer paints a harsh picture that Harry is gone. He's been reduced to Meghan's shadow, an accessory in a carefully staged production that she directs. Every interview, every appearance, every statement is filtered through her PR lens. And Harry's just along for the ride. His friends and family notice the transformation almost immediately. The man who used to speak his mind, crack jokes, and show warmth and personality is now cautious, subdued.
She controls people. She ghosts people like her father or the royal family when she doesn't like them. She's a very determined woman, and she thought she could cut me off, and she failed.
And almost robotic. He nods, he echoes, he confirms, rarely leading, always following. The Harry that once inspired admiration, whether through charity work or military service, has become a supporting actor in his own life story. And the tragedy? He seems trapped, not because anyone physically holds him back, but because the bridges he burned along the way make retreat impossible. Statements about the royal family, public disputes.
Successful and positively ruthless. But it never really drops terribly well when it's used to describe a woman, because I think, which is obviously very sexist, but it slightly alludes to...
And repeated media appearances have locked him into a narrative not entirely his own. The man who left the army, who could command a room with charm and sincerity, is now a prop in a drama fueled by his wife's ambition. Bauer doesn't sugarcoat it. Harry's loss of autonomy is complete. He's no longer the prince with a voice.
They're usually explained.
He's the man who nods while
That
Meghan
explanation.
performs. Every contradiction, every staged tear, every controlled photo op highlight.
Being sort of negatively ruthless. I don't think ambitious always sits very well, but you do believe that that is what
Well,
you
I live with a very, very successful woman. I love ambitious women. I love...
His diminished role. The world sees it. Friends, insiders, and even casual observers notice a man overshadowed, a prince turned pawn. And while Meghan takes the spotlight, Harry fades into the background, the shadow of the story that he once was, and the tragic proof of ambition run wild. Bauer exposes a truth that Hollywood insiders quietly whispered for years. Meghan's rise wasn't luck, it was a blueprint. Every party attended, every red carpet appearance, every smile in front of a camera, calculated. Before Harry, the world barely noticed her.
I think is finer, greater, best company is a really ambitious, successful woman. So no, I think Meghan must be good company on her terms. I mean, the point about her is, of course she's successful and ambitious.
She had minor roles, a small fan base, and a name only familiar to niche television viewers. After precise networking, she landed royalty, fame, and instant global attention. This wasn't happenstance, it was strategic ambition. Wealth, influence, and a royal title weren't just perks. They were targets. Meghan knew exactly what she wanted and pursued it like a masterclass in social climbing. Bauer highlights how Hollywood insiders saw her early on as ambitious, charming.
Has made it. She was in third-rate acting, and she's now a global icon. That isn't success, and she wanted it. She said to her father when she was a young girl, "I just want to be famous on the red carpet," and she's made it. But
and relentless. A mix that could either open doors or burn bridges. And she clearly bet on the doors opening. Every handshake mattered, every introduction counted, and every photo opportunity was a stepping stone. Bauer points out that her California-focused networking, mixing royalty with Hollywood elite, was designed to cement her brand. The goal wasn't just acting success. It was dominance across fame, status, and media influence. People noticed the...
I think on the way, what she's done is damaging. And that's what the book does. It tells the story of a girl who came from a broken family, who struggled very hard, and is, in her terms, has made it. She's now got a mansion in California, she's famous, she's rich, but on the way, what happened?
Pattern. Hollywood connections weren't incidental. They were the ladder to global recognition, and Meghan climbed it with precision. By the time Harry entered the scene, she had already positioned herself perfectly to capitalize. She didn't stumble into royalty, she executed the ultimate network strategy. And the kicker? Harry became both the prize and the enabler, letting her script the narrative while she took complete control of the stage. Here's where the story starts to unravel spectacularly. Bauer calls it the contradiction game.
Having spent that time, what are your feelings towards him now? What did you make of him as a man? Because he has been vocal, some would say maybe too vocal over the past few years. But what's your take?
And it's impossible to ignore. One moment, Meghan claims she barely knew Harry before they met. The next, she describes a meticulous study of his life and career. Did she fall in love by chance or by design? The public can't reconcile the two versions, and neither can the media.
I met in my life literally thousands of people of all sorts. And I know when a man is a good man or a bad man or an injured man. And Thomas Markle is an old man.
Every interview, every appearance, every social media post feeds this toxic cycle. Rehearsed tears replace genuine emotion. Carefully sculpted words replace authenticity. And the fairy tale facade starts to crumble. Audiences notice when something feels staged, and Bauer emphasizes that the cracks are everywhere. The victim narrative Meghan cultivated, combined with Harry's...
doesn't think he's got much longer to live, who loves his daughter, and even said to me, whatever she's done to me, I still love my daughter. But he's puzzled and hurt about the way she's treated.
Simplicity no longer elicits sympathy. It raises serious questions instead about her motives, the storytelling, and the reality behind the headlines. Even Harry, who once exuded charm and openness, now appears completely scripted. His reactions are predictable, nods, echoing lines fed to him by Meghan or their PR team. The contradiction game isn't accidental, it's calculated. Bauer paints it as a long-term strategy to control perception, but the strategy is failing catastrophically. People are seeing
Can't understand it, and nor can I really, other than she was embarrassed by him and she just didn't like the man who's fat and all the rest of it now.
inconsistencies, comparing notes, and noticing the glaring gaps between claimed innocence and deliberate ambition. By the time the contradictions multiply, the brand weakens. Public trust erodes. Interviews meant to clarify only deepen skepticism. Every staged moment, whether a tearful revelation or a dramatic family photo, adds another layer of doubt. The fairy tale narrative, once captivating, now feels like a soap opera gone too far. And the most glaring
Who tells the truth. And the truth about Meghan's childhood, her relationship with her mother, her relationship with her first husband, all that is in the book. And it is new. And he never, in that sense, unburdened himself to anyone till
issue. Meghan's brand relies on public belief. And once contradictions dominate the narrative, belief collapses. Hollywood isn't forgiving, and Bauer lays it bare. Meghan's empire of influence quickly hit a wall. Netflix deals were hyped as groundbreaking, but the series felt like therapy sessions, not content. Spotify partnerships flopped. Lifestyle brands floundered. And the aura of unstoppable glamour began to crack. What was meant to be a seamless transition from royalty to global media power became
emotionally when he's in any sort of TV interview. Most recently, the Queen's Jubilee celebrations, Tom. What do you think happened there? We know they came over and they had private meetings with the Queen.
A cautionary lesson in overexposure and mismanagement. Ambition without execution proves ruinous, and Meghan's carefully curated image became toxic. Staged appearances and controlled messaging couldn't mask the inconsistencies. Producers, celebrities, and industry insiders started keeping their distance. Bauer explains that deals evaporated, not because of lack of opportunity, but because Meghan's brand had become a risk. Everything she touched seemed to attract
What do you think happened in terms of the setup up on the balcony?
Well, I think they were defeated. I think they thought they could blackmail the royal family into forcing them onto the
controversy, contradictions, and negative press. Even Hollywood's tolerance for drama has limits. The charm and celebrity aura that worked at luxury events and red carpets couldn't translate into sustained influence. Ambition alone doesn't guarantee loyalty, investment, or respect. Bauer's analysis shows that Meghan's strategy of using fame and titles to leverage Hollywood credibility backfired spectacularly. The empire she envisioned, media dominance, creative...
which didn't give them what they wanted. And I think they went back to America feeling very, very chagrined, very annoyed that they didn't get the exposure they wanted, especially with the Queen. Mm-hmm. And so I think that it was finally, they got the...
control, A-list relevance, collapsed under its own weight. Every failed deal, every flopped project, and every contradictory statement chipped away at credibility. Desperation replaced allure, and the aura of success became overexposed and exhausting. Hollywood, which thrives on both talent and trustworthiness, now saw a brand riddled with contradictions, overcalculation, and...
See now with Harry's memoir whether he's going to get his revenge too.
Well, absolutely. You could get a mention as well, Tom. Who knows at this point? And to think her life could have taken a very sequined-fueled turn, because you suggest she could have appeared on Strictly...
relentless self-promotion. Bauer dives into perhaps the most shocking aspect, how Meghan allegedly used her children as strategic tools. Lilibet, their daughter, was positioned in the media not for innocence or love, but as a prop to control public perception. Every staged photo, every timed Instagram post, every calculated announcement seemed engineered to generate headlines rather than preserve family privacy. Harry's role is just as telling. Once a figure of autonomy and charm, he participated willingly, reinforcing the pattern.
And then there's this extraordinary report by the Sun's royal editor, Tom, which suggests that even in this period of national mourning,
the man who left royal life to protect his children from intrusive media attention ended up complicit in the very exposure he sought to avoid. This adds another layer to the contradiction game. While claiming to value privacy, the couple manufactured public moments for strategic gain. The Lilibet announcements exemplify the manipulation, time for maximum media traction, coordinated with other stories, and meticulously styled. The images focused more on Meghan than on her daughter. Critics and observers weren't fooled. Using a child as a shield and publicity tool crossed a line, exposing a cold, calculated side that contrasts sharply with the image of a loving, protective mother. Bauer's narrative here is damning. When public sympathy fades, using a child as a prop may temporarily distract, but it also leaves a lasting stain. Meghan's brand, already teetering under contradictions and failed projects, faces further scrutiny for exploiting the very innocence it should protect. Tom Bauer delivers the final verdict. The Meghan Markle brand is crumbling. Public patience has run out. Contradictions, staged victimhood, and failed projects have eroded trust, credibility, and influence. Deals falter. Hollywood refuses the risk. The meticulously curated empire has collapsed, and the facade of the royal rebels is exposed as a calculated, self-serving performance. The narrative of rebellion and innovation is over. The empire of contradictions has collapsed for all to see. And Meghan's ambitions, once unstoppable, now collide painfully with reality. Harry remains trapped, a shadow of his former self, as the curtain closes on a kingdom built on calculation rather than authenticity.